Hello friends, welcome to RARA's Small World. In this video, let me show you how to bake a simple layered cake with cream cheese frosting for all the beginners in baking. This rich, moist and decadent cake can be easily made for any special occasions at home. So let's begin. To begin with, let's first prepare a cake tin. Take a wax paper or parchment paper, cut it in a square piece by roughly measuring the size of the cake tin. Here I am using an 8-inch cake tin. I'll be baking 2 cakes in the same pan, one after the other, but if you have 2 cake tins of the same size, you can bake both cakes at the same time. Fold the wax paper as shown in the video. This step helps the cake come out easily after baking. Also, preheat your oven at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for 10 to 12 minutes. You can also prepare the cake tin by brushing some oil inside the cake pan and dusting some flour and pat the excess flour. But I find this way more easy as there is 0% chance of sticking the cake at the bottom. So here we have one lining for our cake pan. Prepare one more in the same way as we are going to bake 2 different cakes. Now lightly grease the base of the cake pan and place the wax paper and keep the prepared cake tin aside. Now let's start making the batter. To a clean dry bowl, add 3 eggs. Make sure the eggs are at room temperature. To that, added 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Beat the eggs very well with a hand blender or a fork. Added 3/4 cup of powdered sugar in batches and blend well. Added 3/4 cup of oil. Here I'm using canola oil. Blend again. If you don't have a hand blender, you can use a grinder or a mixie to prepare the wet mixture. Now place a strainer or a sifter. Added 1 cup maida or all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda and a pinch of salt. Sift it to break up any clumps in the dry mixture as well as to combine everything together. Now very slowly fold in the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and mix well until you get a smooth batter. Use a spatula or a wooden spoon to combine everything together. Make sure you don't overmix the batter. Our cake batter is ready. Divide this batter equally into 2 bowls. Scoop out 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of batter into another bowl and keep that aside. To one portion of the batter, added 5 drops of yellow gel food color, which is totally optional. This is just to give a contrast to our layer with the chocolate cake layer. Mix it well. Add 1.5 tablespoons of warm milk plus half teaspoon of white vinegar and mix it well. This will give a spongy texture to our cake. Now pour the batter into the prepared cake tin. Run a skewer or a toothpick through our cake batter. This is to avoid all the air bubbles. Also tap it 2 to 3 times just to break all the air bubbles trapped inside. This is ready to go to the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for around 12 to 15 minutes. Every oven specifications are different, so please keep checking after 10 minutes. Insert a toothpick and if it comes out clean, the cake will be ready. Allow it to cool completely and demold it. This is very soft and very spongy cake, so please handle it carefully without breaking. Just wipe off the cake pan with a paper towel as I'm using the same pan for my chocolate layer. For the chocolate cake layer, to a bowl added 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Here I'm using Hershey's special dark cocoa. You can use anything which is available for you. To that, added 4 tablespoons of warm milk. Mix it well and make it a smooth paste. Now mix the cocoa mixture to the remaining portion of the batter. Also add 1/4 teaspoon of white vinegar. Somehow missed to record that part, so please add 1/4 teaspoon of white vinegar to the batter and combined well. Now our chocolate cake batter is ready. Prepare the cake tin the same way as mentioned before. Pour the cake batter and bake in the preheated oven at 350 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. After 15 minutes, our chocolate cake is ready. Cool down completely and then demold it. Now let's cut each cake into 2 even layers. For that, place the vanilla cake on top of a turning table. Those who don't have one, you can set up as shown in the video. Score the entire outside edge of the cake with a paring knife very slowly and cut it into half. I'll show you an easy way how to cut it equally. Using a knife, make a deep mark around the cake where the layer will be. Using a piece of sewing thread or a twine, wrap it around the cake. Cross the ends of the thread, holding each end in each hand. Pull it out so that the thread cuts through the cake. And there you go. So now we have 4 layers of the cake. Now let's prepare a simple sugar syrup by boiling 1/4 cup of sugar with 1/2 cup of water and a pinch of salt and cool down completely. Soak each layer of the cake with the sugar syrup, either by spraying it or by just pouring it with a spoon. This step keeps our cake really moist and soft, so please do not skip this part. Soak it well. Keep it aside. Now let's prepare the cream cheese frosting. Here I am making a whipped cream cheese frosting. For that, take in a large bowl, added 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Make sure the bowl and the blender blades are cold enough. You can keep it in the fridge for 10 to 15 minutes. To that, added 1/4 cup of sugar or according to your preference. Beat the whipping cream until stiff peaks are formed. To a small mixie jar, added 1/2 cup of room temperature and softened cream cheese. Scoop out a spoonful of whipped cream and add it to the blender and blend it until a smooth and creamy texture. Add this mixture into the whipped cream. Blend everything well with a hand blender until the cream cheese is well combined with the whipped cream. Make sure to scrape down the bowl from the sides occasionally and beat until you get a thick spreadable consistency. Let this rest for 30 minutes in the fridge. Now this part is purely optional. Scoop out a small portion from the frosting for the later decoration use. Now let's start layering the cake. Place a cake board or a cardboard on the turning table. Apply little cream to the center of the board and place the one layer of the cake and top it with the frosting. Just like this. You need not be very perfect on this. Just spread it all over the cake. Put the next layer and repeat the process. In between, you can just spray the sugar syrup onto the cake before you put the frosting. So when you place the cake, try to put the already soaked part under and spray the top part with the remaining sugar syrup. Repeat this process for all the layers. This soaking process makes our cake really moist and melt in our mouth. Keep repeating the process until you reach the last layer. Keeping the cream cheese frosting in the fridge before layering is very important. It helps to set the frosting well, and also it really helps to spread it easily. The cake making process becomes very effortless if you plan ahead. You can prepare the cake and the frosting the previous day and do the layering process the next day. In that way, you not only save the time but also the cake tastes more better if you have it the next day. Spreading the frosting all over the cake and just smoothing and leveling it up from all the sides. Topping it with the last layer and repeat the process. If you're new here, please hit the red subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get all the notifications further. And a special request for all the viewers who are watching my channel without subscribing, please do subscribe and keep supporting. This is almost done, just leveling and smoothing the sides and the top with a spatula. This need not be very perfect. We are anyway going to top it with a chocolate ganache, which will cover up all the imperfections. Level the sides with a scraper if you have, or any unused gift card or credit card, as I'm using it here. This goes into the freezer for minimum 2 hours. In the meantime, let's prepare a chocolate ganache. To prepare white chocolate ganache, heat up 1 cup of fresh cream or whipping cream in a saucepan with 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 1/4 cup of white chocolate. Let it sit for 1 minute, then just stir it until it melts. Add 2 tablespoons of butter to get a smooth glaze to our ganache. Switch off and let it cool. Add a few drops of yellow gel food color. Wait till it comes down to a lukewarm temperature. Pour it all over the frozen cake till the cake is covered up with the ganache. Make sure to place a large plate under the cake to collect all the ganache drippings. Once you have covered the whole cake, wait till all the dripping stops, wipe off the sides and slowly take the cake from the turning table along with the cake board and place it in the fridge for an hour or until it sets. Once it's all set, you can decorate it as per your wish. I did a very simple topping with some strawberries and drizzled chocolate syrup on the sides. I hope you liked watching this video. Please do try this yummy and decadent cake and make your special moments memorable. Always stay positive and stay safe.